The early morning sun stretched its golden fingers across the quiet hills of Galilee. The air was crisp, carrying the distant scent of the Sea of Galilee, where fishermen had long since cast their nets into the deep. In a small stone house at the edge of a village, a young boy sat at a worn wooden table, watching as his mother wrapped a humble meal in a linen cloth: 5 barley loaves, round and coarse, and 2 small fish, their silver scales glistening in the dim light of their home. "Take this with you," she said, pressing the bundle into his hands. "Eat when you are hungry." The boy nodded, his eyes filled with excitement. Today was unlike any other. He had heard whispers of a man who healed the sick and spoke of God's kingdom with such authority that even the elders listened. He had to see him for himself. Carrying the cloth bundle over his chest, he stepped out onto the dusty road, his heart pounding with anticipation. As the boy walked, the road became crowded with people: men, women, and children, all moving in the same direction. Some carried baskets of fruit, others led donkeys laden with goods. There was a sense of urgency in their steps, as though they feared missing something important. "Where are you going?" the boy asked an elderly man walking beside him. The man adjusted the staff in his hand and smiled. "To see the teacher, of course," he said. "They say he performs miracles, that he speaks words that stir the soul." The boy's heart quickened. He had heard the stories, but now he would see for himself. The sound of voices grew louder as the path widened into an open field near the hillside. Thousands of people had gathered, their eyes fixed on a figure standing on a rocky outcrop above them. The boy pushed his way forward, weaving between legs and baskets, desperate for a glimpse of the man called Jesus. He saw him then, a man dressed in a simple robe, his eyes filled with both wisdom and kindness. He stood among his disciples, speaking with a calm authority that quieted even the most restless in the crowd. The sun was beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the field. The people had been listening for hours, hanging on every word Jesus spoke. But hunger began to settle in, and murmurs of discomfort spread through the crowd. The disciples, watching from the side, exchanged uneasy glances. Philip, one of the 12, stepped forward and leaned toward Jesus. "Master," he said, lowering his voice so the crowd wouldn't hear, "it's late, and these people have had nothing to eat. Should we send them away to the villages so they can buy food?" Jesus turned to him, a knowing smile touching his lips. "They do not need to go away," he said. "You give them something to eat." Philip looked stunned. "But, Lord, even 200 denarii would not be enough to buy bread for all of them." Another disciple, Andrew, approached. He scanned the crowd, shaking his head. "There is a boy here," he said hesitantly, pointing to the child standing nearby. "He has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what are they for so many?" The boy felt his face grow warm as the disciples looked at him. His meal was small, hardly enough for even a handful of people. Yet Jesus did not hesitate. He beckoned to the child, his eyes filled with warmth. "Bring them to me." The boy hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward. His hands trembled slightly as he unwrapped the cloth bundle and held it out. Jesus knelt to his level, his gaze steady and full of reassurance. "Thank you," he said, taking the loaves and fish from the boy's hands. His voice was soft, yet it carried a weight of meaning the boy did not yet understand. The disciples looked doubtful. The crowd, still unaware of what was happening, continued to murmur in hushed voices. Jesus stood, holding the humble offering in his hands, and turned his face toward the sky. Jesus lifted the loaves and fish high, closing his eyes in prayer. "Father, I thank you," he said, his voice carrying across the hillside. Then, breaking the bread, he handed pieces to the disciples. As they took the bread, something incredible happened. It did not diminish. Each time a piece was broken, another appeared in its place. The disciples, wide-eyed, turned to distribute the food. They moved through the crowd, handing out loaves and fish, but their baskets were never empty. The people ate, first cautiously, then with growing amazement. The boy stood frozen in awe. He had seen the loaves with his own eyes, only 5. And yet, here were thousands of people, eating as much as they wanted. Murmurs of astonishment rippled through the crowd. Some fell to their knees in gratitude. Others wept, overwhelmed by what they had just witnessed. The boy watched as a mother fed her children with bread that had not existed moments ago, as an old man chewed in disbelief, tears streaking his weathered face. It was a miracle. After everyone had eaten, Jesus instructed the disciples to gather the leftovers. They moved through the crowd, filling basket after basket. The boy watched as they counted, 12 baskets, overflowing. More than what they had started with. He felt a surge of wonder. His small meal, offered so timidly, had been used to feed thousands. Jesus turned and looked at the boy, a knowing smile on his face. "You have given much," he said gently. "Never doubt that God can use even the smallest gift." The boy's heart swelled. He had come that morning with a simple meal. He would leave with a story, one that would live in his heart forever. And so, with just 5 loaves and 2 fish, a young boy witnessed the impossible. What seemed small in his hands became more than enough in the hands of Jesus. A simple act of generosity turned into a miracle that fed thousands. This story reminds us that no gift is too small, no act of kindness too insignificant. What we have, our time, our talents, our resources, can be multiplied beyond what we imagine when placed in the hands of God. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. If this story inspired you, let us know in the comments. What small gift do you have that could make a difference? We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe for more incredible stories of faith and hope. Until next time, keep believing, keep giving, and watch how miracles unfold.